while I'm doing this, I would like you to ask questions to Henry. Okay, so just think about that. Take about a minute, and I would like you to ask questions to Henry.
Hey, Henry, it's Linda. So
Hi.
I guess my question is, let me put my video so you actually see me. I personally don't like Facebook. I think that it is just too much information all the time, and I kind of feel like people can get into your business and things a little bit easier. So how would you fix that type of an issue, or advice on someone like me who just doesn't feel secure on Facebook?
So Facebook, actually, that's true. That doesn't provide too much, like, doesn't protect your information. But this is not only with Facebook, and other social media platforms do not protect privacy. So if they want, everybody can track you, like the government, they can track you whatever you do on the social media platforms. So that's something that we can't solve. It's not only Facebook, it's like WhatsApp also doesn't protect privacy because they can also track you if they want. So we are always tracked on whatever we use on computer and smartphone.
Okay, Henry, I'm going to interject right here because this is a learning moment, and I don't want everybody should be able to learn through this. Okay, so I like the way you heard Linda's position and you rephrased her position and you came to a point of agreement. In terms of content, I want to know whether this was privacy was a huge issue. There are ways to protect it now. Right? I mean, 3 or 4 months back, there was a big, I think most of us know about this, that WhatsApp, there was something about WhatsApp. There's some in the fine print which says that they can use the information. They're not going to really, track. They won't do it, but if they want, they can. Okay, it's so. And then so many of us left WhatsApp and joined another. I can't remember the name of it. Signal
Viber?
or something. Sorry, go ahead.
Viber?
No, I'll tell you. It could be something that starts with that started with S, but then Facebook immediately knew what a big problem they were in, and they made changes. And then there was another disclaimer that was there, and they did make changes. So I would like Henry, just for you to follow up on this, because I am pretty sure that they made a few changes. I'm also sure about, because I did it. Yeah, for sure. You can go on Facebook and and let's say you're looking at Banana Republic, and all of a sudden you see on your Facebook feed, sites or advertisements for Banana Republic. How does Facebook know that 2 minutes back I was looking at Banana Republic? So there is a way to stop it. There is a way. You have to go to Facebook setting, and there are a few things that you need to do, and you will be able to stop it. This came into, and this was so you may want to look at it, Henry, because what Linda just mentioned is also an issue that I have in terms of privacy. I'm not a big, but I mean, I'm not that big into this privacy issue, but it did concern me. So you may want to do a little bit of research and see what is the latest policy of Facebook regarding privacy. What's the latest policy of WhatsApp? There could be another question right now, because Facebook and WhatsApp, as you mentioned, Henry, it's the same company, right? Zuckerberg's
and Instagram too.
and IG, right? Instagram too. Right. So you may want to look very specifically into their privacy policy and respond back to Linda. Okay. Because there have been some changes that were made. All right. So next.
Okay.
Okay. So 1 second here. I'm just Somebody just came in. Okay, so now we have Miguel who's come in. Next is, let's take another question. Who wants to go ask a question to Henry? Let's go with
I had a question.
Good.
So, Henry, you said that the only reason Twitter wasn't as good as Facebook was because Facebook has a marketplace.
Marketplace, we can share like video stories, like we can keep them back
You could
in
do that on
memories.
Twitter too.
Yeah, but Twitter like is a little bit more complicated, I think. So
Well,
we can
there's videos on the feed.
we can do stories on Twitter. We can do stories on Instagram and Facebook, but we can't do them on Twitter.
You could do them on
Like
Twitter too.
stories, like
Yeah, there's
sharing
stories and then
activities.
like there's stories at the top and then it's just like Instagram or Twitter. but
I
they're at the
never know
top.
because I don't know how it is Twitter on smartphone, because I think
Oh,
Facebook is a little bit comfortable, I think.
well, I could
So I
show
don't know.
you.
Yeah, I don't know how is Twitter because I have tried on a computer and a little bit harder. But it's more about posting ideas,
Well, yeah,
sharing
I
thoughts.
feel like Twitter is just like more like just like just any type of thoughts, where Facebook it's more like you're trying to talk to your family. So I feel like as a social media and reaching other people, Twitter does a better job at that.
Interesting. I didn't know, Fabian, even I didn't know that you can publish. I thought, because I don't use Twitter, so I thought that there's only, you can tweet and that's also, it's limited to, there's a word count. I think how many words, I don't know, 100 words, 150 words or something.
250.
Yes, I didn't know about that. It'll be interesting for you to explore the market, Henry, for Twitter users and the market for Facebook users, and see why. Like I'm not a Twitter user because the kind of profession I am in, it's not important for me to get into Twitter. Get into Twitter because I'm not very active politically. I don't need to repost or post anything in politics, or I'm not a part of any, not doing marketing for any organization that I'll. So I'm saying it from a very limited knowledge base. Okay, so you may want to see what kind of audience, and then the audience for Facebook. It's interesting to see that a lot of millennials are now leaving Facebook and joining Instagram. Why? Why are these people leaving Facebook and joining? Why do people say Facebook is for old people now?
In my opinion, I do believe that Facebook, there's a lot of news and journals that are being shared by individuals that are not credible enough. And especially in a business aspect, I use LinkedIn instead of creating some sort of like presence through Facebook. There's a lot of different platforms that are actually taking up Facebook's creative reach. So like, let's say LinkedIn, it has now also added the stories. LinkedIn has also added video for you to reach to the companies that you want to reach out to the CEO, business owners, to all of the individuals who work within your company. So it's like really nice in the business aspect to have that. In my opinion, me leaving Facebook or anything like that, I don't leave it because of family, but I also have WhatsApp to like connect with family and like send them videos and send them pictures. But for me, it was mostly like fake news being shared, and especially journals where people and individuals, they're not credible sources. And I just really started to realize, especially after like the elections of 2020, like it was just very harsh, especially after COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter movements. There was a lot of speculation going through that too.
Right. Great. Wow, this is what I wanted. Just not a speech, but for us to now start. This is the root of a debate. All right, Henry. This is how the debate begins with different. This is just the starting point of what we are going to do. So you could see that this is what we are persuasive speech. Linda came in with her privacy issues. Fabian talked about Twitter and the functionality of Twitter and how and the fact that they're doing so much now. Stephanie added to it, saying that even LinkedIn is doing these things. Initially, they didn't. LinkedIn, I've used LinkedIn. I still use LinkedIn, and I do it as a very very targeted approach, professional networking. That's why I use it. And she also said that what was the reason. She talked about Black Lives Movement. She talked about the elections and all of those things that kind of were the reasons for her. You left Facebook, right, Stephanie? Did you leave? Or
I don't use it as a source for news.
okay.
And if anything, if I do join it, it's mostly to share like family stuff.
Okay, so it's interesting to know this development. All right, so this is great. Thank you, Henry. We will move on. If we have time, we'll take more questions, but I think we should be good with this. And then let us move to Fabian's speech. I know he's talking about college. I don't want to say he's going to talk about that.
Okay, is this good enough lighting, or should I turn on this light?
Wait 1 second. I'm going to remove the pin from thing. This is good enough, yeah.
This one?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay,
Yeah, cool.
okay.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll just time you up. All right, whenever you're ready, Fabian.
Okay,
Ready?
so yeah. All right, so if you know what this is, this is a football. In America, this is a football, but a lot of athletes play all types of sports, especially in college. College is kind of where they like to, that's kind of where you start if you want to go into the pros, So many college athletes are very underpaid just because the fact that they are not able to work a full-time job, because their full-time job is practically playing their sport. So they're spending 40 hours a week practicing for their sport, not able to make money outside of that or make enough money to have a comfortable living. So college athletes should be paid for doing their sport because they are spending so much time to it. They bring in so much money of revenue every year. So in 2020, the NCAA brought in $1.4 billion just from college football alone of revenue. So not one dime was seen by any of the athletes that were playing, bringing the eyes to the sport. So, if you're 5 years old or you're 85 years old, if your family is, supportive of a college, you're going to watch the college, and support the college because, that's just how a lot of families are. They love, if you're a college sport family, you support your college, your parents were alumni or you want to go there, something like that. So obviously, so many people support these athletes, but they don't see any money from it. And yes, you may say, oh, they get paid for college or scholarships. You may say that, but only 1% of athletes get a full ride scholarship, as well as only only 20% actually do get that athlete scholarship. So this obviously leads to there not being a lot of money for the athletes because they are creating their student loan debt already, and then they're also having to pay for all their equipment that they need to use for their sport, as well as they have to pay for room and board and make sure that they can get to their sport and all that, so if they have a car, things like that all costs money, and they're just creating more debt for themselves, having to take more loans out, make sure they have enough money for all those expenses. So obviously, if say in 2014, actually, CBS had a deal with the NCAA and they gave them $800 million to advertise March Madness, the basketball, right? So right now in 2021, there are 517,000 517,000 athletes, college athletes right now. So if they were to give just each athlete $1,000, they would still have $250 million of revenue. But that's from 2014. That's from 2014. So, and that's how many athletes are in college now. So you could see the huge discrepancy in where the money, I mean, it's going to the colleges, yes, but what do they see that money for? 4 years? They see it in a nice treadmill in the gym, things like that. So where they could be using that money to further their lifestyle and make sure that they're actually, able to get to their sport and be not tired having to work 170 hours in a week when there's only 172, or something like that, where they can actually be working. So obviously the only way we can change this is there are obviously things going on through Congress and on change.org, there's petitions that you could sign that'll help make bills to go into Congress as well to help get these college athletes paid, because they are severely underpaid. They haven't been paid for many years. The way that colleges get around this, they just call them amateurs, right? So if they're amateurs, they're not professional, they don't have to pay them. So we can change that by making them call them professional athletes, because if you are spending 120 hours a week on something, practicing something, perfecting your craft on something, how is that not work? And how is that not a job if you're bringing in money for your school? So thank you a lot. And that's all I had to say about that.
Thank you, Fabian.
Thank you.
Right. So when you have to clap class, you can all turn off, turn your microphones on. So here we go, college athletes and the fact that they need to be paid. Very persuasive, has his own claim, his own perspective. Would like to hear some different perspectives, some counter arguments that will push him to think more. Let's hear who wants to go.
I'll go first.
Yes. Linda's
laid on you, Linda. Laid on you.
90% scholarship. So.
This is perfect. I have a kid going to college in August, and he will be playing sports. So I'm going to counter this by asking, what about academic scholarships from these schools? I understand that they don't get a full ride, but what about academic scholarships? Is there any stipends that they get for playing their sports throughout the year? It's only one season, so if they get a $2,000 stipend for the year that they can use on anything they need to, and they're only playing 3 months out of 10, wouldn't that make up for it?
Well, as you know, $2,000, that's a good stipend, that is, but obviously $2,000 doesn't last that long. You obviously know that with expenses. I know that with expenses, $2,000 can go in 3 months very easily, just by having to pay for gas money, having to pay for, a Hulu or TV prescription, stuff like that. All those things that we have to go, Starbucks coffee, but sorry. And then so that's good. But on the academic side, if you are spending 40 hours or 120 hours a week doing your sport, obviously that's great that they got an academic scholarship, but then they have to focus on maintaining that scholarship even harder, because obviously they have to renew that scholarship every semester or every year, something like that, or keep a good GPA to keep that. So obviously that puts even more stress on them to make sure that they have all their academics done. And because the average quality of a the average quality of education for an athlete in college is less than one that's going strictly just for the academics. So
Correct.
that's why there's that discrepancy there.
But you have to keep your grades up in order to play anyways. So usually your GPA to be able to play correlates with your GPA for your scholarship.
Yeah,
So
but you know how
it correlates together. So the minimal GPA you can have in a college is 2.5, and the minimal GPA that you can have to play sports is 2.5. So you still have to keep and maintain the exact same one.
true, but if you're a big athlete going to a big school, obviously, you're in a big NCAA tournament, right? Zion Williamson, do you think his teachers are gonna be like, oh, wait, you didn't turn in this paper? Oh, so now this can't go through. They'll be like, okay, we'll give you a week to turn in the paper, come back from the thing, get it done. Then,
What's the percentage of these college athletes that are actually making it big? So
oh,
if you have 20 guys playing on a team, more like 30 playing on a team, how many of them are actually going to go into professional, say March Madness, so NBA? One or two of them? So should all 30 of them get that stipend if only one or two of them are going to keep going?
but
Because
it's
they'll
only
never
one or
become
two of
professional
them.
athletes.
It's only one of them working the same amount of time. So they're all putting in the same amount of time, right? It's just that one person they're gifted, and they have a drive to them that is pushing them further than the rest, which is
So what's to stop him from saying he should get more money than the rest of the team because they're coming to see him?
because it is a team sport. Obviously sportsmanship is widespread throughout colleges, and obviously you're going to understand that, hey, maybe you can do the thing where you get sponsorships, you know what I mean? So say they allow you to do a commercial for the NCAA tournament, or do like a Smoothie King, like something like that, an ad, so that way they can be paid from them. But they actually didn't allow that at all. And I'm pretty sure there's actually a bill in Congress right now, thinking about that. They're trying to get that passed so that way they can get them sponsorships and things like that, so that way they can get paid from outside sources. But there, that's the only reason they would have to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna let you go. I'll let the next person go.
I
I'm a
can go
parent.
second.
Obviously,
I
I
have a
want more
question.
money for my kid. I'm just coming in on that side. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wants
Can
to
I go second? I
Yeah.
can go second.
Yeah.
So Fabian, you said that I don't know a lot about American football, but you said that people here, students here, get paid on scholarship during their academic.
Athletic
They get
and
paid. So they get paid and during studying and also playing football, right, in college.
well, they don't get paid for playing football. They just get their school paid for, and then they're allowed to
Okay,
play football. Yeah.
but they don't pay anything about playing football, right?
Well,
Do
they
they
pay
pay?
into. They have to buy their own cleats. They have to buy. They don't have to buy their own.
No. I'm saying, do they have to buy? Do they have to pay about their enjoying play football? I mean,
Well,
do
I
they
mean, they
have
have to
to?
make the team, and I mean, if you're like a really good player, like you're a D1 athlete, you're usually scouted, and then they try to get you to go to uh their school, and they'll give you like a $10,000 uh athletic scholarship for something like that, or some amount of money, and it'll pay off for the classes, because if it's a D1 school, it's obviously going to be an expensive school. So that's why they give you that amount of money, so you can pay off your classes, but they don't really give you any other money besides maybe a stipend if they're a really a good school that likes to take care of their athletes. But I haven't heard of a lot of stipends going on athletes.
Okay, so let me say something. If you go at different countries, for example, in Europe, and we don't play American football, we play soccer. That's football, but that's because of the culture, I think.
Yeah, of course.
If you go there, you will see that people who play soccer, doesn't matter male or females, they do not get any scholarship if they play football. They get nothing for that. They don't get any scholarship, for example, to pay their college, university. They do not get anything like that. So they also have to pay to enjoy like clubs in a youth age, so in a young age, because they're not professional, so they are paying money from their pocket, so they do not get any scholarship, any coverage for that.
So
So here people are getting paid just playing college in a young age, like, but they're not professional, so they can pay for your school, for everything. But in countries of Europe, this doesn't happen.
yeah, so that's kind of like you said. Even if we play soccer here, you could get a scholarship for playing soccer here.
Not
But
only not
over there, uh, I'm pretty sure. I know it's a different culture too, but soccer is a lot more competitive. I'm pretty sure there. 'Cause like you said, they do have all those clubs, and they have soccer pitches or football pitches in Europe just there instead of we have football fields here. So there's always people playing soccer and things like that. And obviously, if you do get into a club, there's you get paid from that club, right? Or if it's a big enough club.
So if you're professional, you're gonna get a lot of money. If you play in Germany, Spain, Italy, you get a lot of money. But what I'm saying is that people in young age, not only soccer, but like swimming, basketball, volleyball, or running, athletic, they don't get coverage from their school, so they have to pay from their own pocket, so they don't get scholarship for enjoying school. So you have to pay for everything.
Okay. But
So
Oh, that's
but yeah, I think that might just be like our like different countries, you know what I mean? But because obviously you would want to give the students some money to pay for their classes if they were doing some athletics. But if are you allowed in a different, because we have different laws here, are you allowed to get paid and be in a club if you're in college and things like that?
yeah, they get paid up for that, but if they are like really
Well, exactly. So they're getting paid
very good,
for
if they
entertaining
are
millions
professional,
of fans, right?
I mean,
But I mean, yeah, but you still. Oh, so are you not allowed to be a professional in college?
yes, you have to be professional. Like if you play soccer, you have to play, for example, professional teams, but not teams in high
So how
school.
young?
No.
How young is like the youngest professional athlete in like soccer?
For example, soccer,
Yeah,
the
in
youngest
Europe.
can be 17, 18,
So
16
they're allowed to make
professional.
money while they're in college, doing their sport. So obviously they have that full-time job and they're able to pay for those classes because they're getting paid for doing their sport. Where here you're not allowed to get paid to doing your sport when you're 17 or 18, or you're not allowed to make money until you get into the professional or to the NFL or anything like that. So that that's why, so you're allowed to get paid, so they're making money at that young age, they're allowed to pay for their classes, they're not getting into as much debt. That's why we have a lot of student debt here in our country. It's because we're not allowed to make money soon enough to pay off all that money that we're spending on a huge expense that college is. So that's where our countries are different, but where they're better off there because they can actually make money from playing soccer and be good at it and focus on that because they're making money. Where here as good as you are, the only way you're gonna make money is by waiting until you can get on a professional team and
So
get drafted
let me
and
say
hope you
something.
get a huge signing bonus like of 250 million or something like that. So obviously that'll make up for all your hard work and effort, but that only happens to the 1% of people. So you gotta really weigh your battles there.
And that leads
So
me to
let
your point too.
okay.
Because I do believe, like, especially for like European countries, like it's totally different when it comes to entertainment in the United States, and when it comes to entertainment and how people entertain themselves. Um, Me as an athlete too, I took my high school, does that mean, into state, and they got paid for it. I never got anything of that. So does that mean, like, would you also willingly, like, say high school athletes also need to get paid? Because in reality, my coaches got paid, but I didn't. And I was the one doing all of this. So, I mean, I guess it just depends on the entertainment thing. Like, my parents went to state and they had to pay $25 just to watch me every single day. So it's just those things.
Yeah, but those events they're running not really off of advertisements. They're school funded, right? Where NCAA, they're funded with, all these advertisements, huge sponsorship companies. Like I said, CBS gave the NCAA $800 million to advertise, or to, you know, stream, or like put it on cable, you know what I mean? So, high school is not bringing in nearly as much revenue as college. Because, you right now we have in the college, the high school sports, they're over Zoom now, and they're not bringing in any money over, or not over Zoom. They're on YouTube. They're YouTube live. So you just watch them. They're not bringing in money from that at all. There's no donations, nothing like that you can do for them. It's free because it's a high school sport. It's school funded. They get the money from the state, as well as they use their school boosters, the booster clubs and everything like that to fund all those events. So that's why, the your high school did get money, but that was just because it took money out of their own pocket to pay for the bus trip to get there, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Wow, I'm going to interject here, and I'm going to say that this is a very interesting conversation that happened, and we had three perspectives, three counter arguments from one, Linda, who's a mother of a student athlete who's just got in with a 90% scholarship. So her feedback. We have Henry, who's from a different country, Europe, and how they play for soccer, and that the fact that they are not funded, and how Fabian went and said, "What's the age? What until when do they start?" And then he says that you have to be a professional player. Okay, so when does professionalism begin for them? What is the age? So they are paid. So you could see that he was holding, and then he was pushing his thing that they're still covered, right? And then we have Stephanie, who was a student athlete in high school, and the difference came in between high school funding and college football, like the big one that he talked about, CBS paying so much of money to stream them. So how much of funds there is this? Well, that's valid if you were in high school and you didn't get paid. But if you're a college athlete, so that point of distinction was also made there. So three very important counter arguments for for Fabian, and well defended. Great. Thank
Give me
you.
work for that one.
I totally agree with you. I just wanted to like bring that point too.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful. All right. So next we will go.
The teacher, let me say something about this topic.
Yeah.
The problem is that so in other countries you don't get paid by government if you are like a good talent, but you get paid by the club. When you join a team club, you get paid by this team club if you are a really good player. But if you are not professional, like in high school or college player, they don't cover you for anything. You get paid for nothing. But here in US, you get money to pay for your school or to get any money for yourself. But in Europe, this doesn't happen.
Our school system's different though.
So you have to decide between school or sport. So if you are a really good talent, go to sport, go to swimming, basketball if you are a good one. You can't do both of them because if you lose the sport, if you're not a good progress, they're not gonna like you, they're not gonna get you. So that's why people in Europe, if they are focused on soccer, they enjoy soccer first, they skip the school. But if they are really good talent, everything is gonna pay off.
It's
So
a very interesting
you
perspective.
can be a millionaire if you are a really good player.
Yeah.
So they skip the school and they follow their road.
Right. Because you know what? When you were telling us this, Henry, I was thinking about India, and I have a similar comment, just like you did, is that as far as I know, I know little, but as far as I know, is there was nothing called college football, or college teams. These are, as Henry said, these are professional teams. So you either join, that you are there, you go join a club, and if you're professional clubs where they train you, and if you are very good in those, you get picked up by these professional teams which play nationally. That's how it happens. It is not a college. So there is no money there. So it's a very different process in US.
Because that happens because the US has a stronger economy, and other countries of Europe don't have the same economy. But maybe if you go Sweden, Norway, it's going to be similar to here, or Germany, France, Italy. But other countries don't have that power to get paid for all students, to pay scholarships, because schools are private.
Oh, schools are private here too,
yeah. But in public school, you don't get money for that. They can get money from, so few people can get money from public schools, but not from private schools. I don't know. Do they get money from private schools?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. You can get money from private schools here. Not as much as you can from public schools.
Yeah.
And it also depends on sports. If you're looking at sports, if you're a D1 or D3, I think D3 doesn't give athletic scholarships.
No, they don't.
D1 does. So if you're going to a school that has a D3 where you can play the sport, you won't necessarily have any money through scholarships for it. But then if you go through a D1, so we actually have mainly academic scholarship and partial athletic scholarship. So the majority of his money is coming from his grades. He has a 3.8 GPA or something. So majority of his money is his grades. And then I basically went in and said, I need that dollar amount changed to that dollar amount. And they gave me the difference in athletic scholarship so that we would go to that school. So, yeah. That was ready for you, Fabian, but any little bit counts. So I was
I know.
For making money, but I had to counter you. So
I know.
All right.
So we have actually Linda. Linda is our third speaker. So once.
Right. Can you see me good and can you hear me well?
Okay. We can hear you, but let me just put the timer. Yeah, ready. Go.
Okay. So. Today we are going to talk about pet adoption versus purchasing. So 67% of Americans are actually pet owners at this time. And there was actually a huge increase during the pandemic, what people call pandemic pets. 93% of people that now have pandemic pets actually saw a change in their mental and physical well-being. And they attribute it to having these pets at that point, just being able to come home and to be with someone, have companionship, especially people that were single. They saw the need and the want for having this pet and having someone there with them. Usually pets that come from shelters have a very bad rep. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now, is just some of the points that people talk about when it comes to shelter pets. The first thing is just not knowing where they came from. People think that pets in the shelter are just kind of thrown there and here you go, take it up for adoption. But in actuality, when a pet comes in, whether it's rendered, it's found on the street, or it's just injured stray, they do have a 90-day evaluation before they get put up for adoption. In those 90 days, they're evaluated for any illnesses, any diseases. They're also looked to see if they are spayed or neutered, their temperament, whether they can be around other animals, other people, other humans. So all of that is actually tested out and put out before they're put in for adoption. So that when you're looking at this pet, you're actually getting a little bit of a biography on what they are, who they are, and whether they're a good fit with you. Another reason is that people say that there's mixed breeds, that they want a purebred dog. In actuality, 25 to 35% of the pets that are in shelters are purebred breeds, depending on which shelter you go to. Now, sometimes there's a waiting list. You might have to put your name. Obviously, people want things now, and when they want a pet, they want it today. But there is a way that you can find them. You might have to go searching through shelters. There's obviously mixed breeds in there as well that you may not know what they are, but pure breeds are in there. You may just have to do a little bit of a waiting game or looking at different shelters to find them. Another reason is just their affordability. Now, when you go to adopt a pet, it's usually anywhere from shelters at $65 to $20 to $200 adoption fee. The most I've seen is $400. This all does depend on where the shelter, what kind of a shelter it is actually, and what county the shelter is in as well. So for example, going into Chicago at the CACC, $65 adoption fee. They also have adoption week in the US, and during adoption week, they most places either reduce the fee or they waive it completely, making it that much easier to adopt a pet. Another thing is people get concerned about, well, what if the pet doesn't fit with me, or I need to return this pet? Both puppy mills, which is where you would get a new puppy, and with shelters have a 14-day rule. So once you get that animal from them, you actually take it to a vet. If the vet finds that there's something completely extreme or something that they didn't tell you as far as an illness, you have 14 days to return it back. Now, with the puppy mills, I don't know what they would do with those animals. If you take it back to a shelter, they may try to take care of it. It may get euthanized at the end of it. I don't know what the puppy mill, what legally they have to do. I don't know if they put them down or they try to make them better or not. And then the other thing too is people look at the ages of dogs, that they want puppies, and they think that you only get old dogs at a shelter home, and that's not true. There's actually lots of puppies that are there at 8 weeks in shelters. They actually start to find foster families for puppies to start training them until they're able to be adopted. When you adopt a dog, they do come vaccinated with the rabies shots, and they have to be spayed or neutered. So I'm guessing that they probably keep the puppies up until that age, and then they can put them out there, and you can also find senior dogs. And the last reason is just to make yourself feel good, that you saved the dog from the shelter, that you gave it the best years that it could give. It's an older dog, or that you gave a new puppy a new life as opposed to being in a puppy mill. And I actually have my special reason. I'm going to move this a little bit. And my special reason here, Snoopy, come here, baby. So this is my Snoopy. Here, come here. Come here. Have a seat. Sit down. Lay. And he can crawl too. Crawl, crawl. Ready? Come here. Sit down. Good boy. So Snoopy is actually 6 years old when we adopted him. He is going to be 8 in July. We count his day, lay down, as his birthday. He's a good boy. He came with us with a few issues with allergies and things, but I actually have, my sister has a purebred pit bull who has the same allergy issues as him. And so this is my reason for pushing adoption. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All of you can unmute yourself and clap. All right.
He has been standing at that door since we started class because he could smell the treats, let me tell you.
Well, this is going to be a hard counter argument. So, but you have to have a counter argument for Linda. So let's see whoever wants to go first.
This one was hard, but how about people who have special needs, like hyperallergenic people, or people who actually need some pet that is already trained before?
So that's actually perfect. When it comes to shelter dogs, myself specifically, as far as the training, I wanted an older dog. So Snoopy came house trained, he came crate trained. We did show him the 3 tricks that I just showed you, but he was trained, and I specifically wanted an older dog. Quite frankly, I said, I'm done doing the diapers, so I don't want to do that with the dog. And then as far as, what was the other one? So that was the
Allergy.
So that's where that pure breed comes in. The only hard part with that is that you do have to kind of sign up. So I know in the suburbs, it's a little easier. My sister had to find a dog like that. She actually registered herself at 4 different shelters and specifically looking for that specific type of dog. I forgot what it was. And so she kind of got put on a list. And when one was available, they contacted her right away. And so she went in and she was able to adapt pretty quickly. So there is a little bit of a waiting game, and that's usually the only thing that people don't want. We're very accustomed to, we want it right now. I'm gonna go get it and I want it this way. So, but you can find those dogs there very easily, actually. Well, not very easily, but they're there.
They're a hunt for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I got one.
Okay, I'm ready.
There's so many shelters, right? And there's so many dogs.
Mhm.
But you have to think about it. You have to pick one, that you want to take in and protect. And obviously that's going to be very difficult. So how do you know that you're finding the right one, the right dog? You know what I mean? The one that is gonna, stay by your side and make you happy all the time,
So absolutely. We went in, and each family and person goes in wanting their own things. And so you have to have your list ready. I wanted an older dog. I said at least 2 years old is the youngest I was going to take. And I wanted him or her to be playful. It turns out it's a him. I have all boys. I don't know. Maybe I did it myself. But wanted to be playful and good with the kids. So when we went, we actually all went together as a family. My youngest one at that time was 8. And so he was still very sketchy about animals and wasn't really sure. So when we went in there, you have all these dogs lined up and they're barking, and he naturally was scared of a lot of them. So then right off the bat, I'm like, well, those aren't the dogs for us. And when we got to Snoopy's cage, he was actually very quiet and just sitting there, like ready to go out. And when you ask them, like, okay, I want to see this dog, they actually, the volunteer takes the dog out into like an area where it's just them. And then you get to see your dog in action. Snoopy loves playing ball. He loves playing ball. It's the only game that he'll play. And you throw it and he drops it. He knows how to play, catch really well. And when I saw my son playing with him and not nervous, that's when we knew that that was a dog for us. Okay. And so that you are able to do that. Now with puppy mills, I know from experience from coworkers that I have 3 that have them from puppy mills. They've gone and they've made a 2-3 hour drive to like go check out this puppy, and they think this is the one, and then they have to come back a different day to try to find them when they're in action playing, and then they come back another day and you try to figure it out. So you kind of do have the same process. I could have came back several times to look at Snoopy. The difference is that because he's in a shelter, someone else may have taken him. And so then you risk that piece of it, where when you go to a puppy mill, you can say, this is the one that I want. But in 3 weeks, you might have to commit to it if you don't want to. So, yeah.
I got, we actually, if you didn't hear my dog just barking, we got her from the shelter last March. So like right before the pandemic started, and she was a lot smaller now, but she's a little bit bigger now. But we did that too. We went in there and we all saw her individually, and we eventually brought her home. But yeah, I was just trying to give you something to debate about.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm as ready as I can be.
I have another one. This is Yoda. And right now we're having problems with him because we don't know what breed he is. He's really mixed. He's like a mutt. So that is like, we definitely adopted him.
Do a pet DNA. They have pet DNAs. I actually have 3 friends who have done it. I'll find you the link because I have you on text. I have 3 friends who have done it to find out what exactly is up with their dog and find out what the majority breed is. I don't know the cost of it because we know that Snoopy, he has a spotted tongue, so he's part Chow, and his body is completely that of a lab. So he looks like a lab puppy when you see him up close because he's so short, because that's the Chow in him. He does have allergies, and we have to give him allergy shots every 2 or 3 months. He wasn't very well taken care of, and he was 6 years old, and we knew that. We knew getting him that he wasn't going to be in the best shape. He was severely underweight, but we have his background story. So that's another thing. You know where they do come from if they find him from a home. He did come from a home from larger dogs. It seems that he's one of the smaller dogs. So, yeah.
Thank you.
But I'll get you that link for the pet DNA. You can find out where your pet comes from.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Well done. I got to learn a lot about, all, I actually, she was quite prepared with all the things that people are going to attack her with. So she went on with that. So I'm like, okay, did she touch that? Oh, I can't really touch that one. She's already covered it. So, all right, wonderful. Okay, so we were joined today again. We were joined by Miguel. So Miguel, you will be our sixth speaker. We were joined, so Miguel, you'll be the sixth speaker. We were joined by Kendo, who's going to be our seventh speaker. And we were also joined by Fernanda and Isa. So it's a full house today, good. So Fernanda, you'll be our eighth speaker. Fernanda and Isa is going to be our final speaker. So
who am I after?
Stephanie, you're going now. You're the fourth speaker.
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so we had, I'm just going to repeat the order. We had Henry as our first speaker. Our second speaker was Fabian. Our third speaker was Linda. Our fourth speaker is Stephanie. Our sixth speaker will be Noah. I'm sorry, fifth speaker will be Noah. Sixth speaker will be Miguel. Seventh speaker will be Kendo. Eighth speaker will be Fernanda, which is you. And our final speaker will be Isa.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So we have a full house. Let's move on with Stephanie.
Sorry, I got so into it, I forgot to set up.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Can you see me, hear me?
Yeah, we can all see you, hear you well. Now we can't see you. Yeah, we can see
I was
you.
taking a deep breath.
Oh, okay. All right, start, Stephanie, go.
Okay, cool. As the first daughter of 4 of the first generation immigrant parents, I had to learn how to cope on my own. So growing up, I had to learn how to raise my siblings when I had to educate myself. I had to learn not to crave the attention of my parents when I needed some educational help. Growing up as a child, I had many anxieties. I had many things I had to deal with and frustrations as well, since I was raising my siblings at a very young age. Here today, I want to bring into attention why it's so important for us to teach our children coping mechanisms. And this is why I do believe that yoga, physical postures, and breath work should be taught from 1st grade to 12th grade. What I mean by this, kids do need some sort of approach to coping mechanisms. They need help with concentration, and they need some sort of reflection time. They need to learn how to reflect on their own. Our society nowadays is exposed to a lot of information as well for children. Children are being exposed to YouTube. They're being exposed to video games at an early age. They're being exposed to a lot of other information as well as trauma. And we have experienced it all this past year in 2020. A lot of children have lost family members. A lot of children have lost their actual experiences. My little sister lost her 8th grade dance. She lost her graduation. I know a lot of children, especially kids in high school, they couldn't do their graduation. They couldn't enjoy their last senior year. So in reality, most of this, they try to find some sort of coping mechanism. And I do believe that when it comes to a trauma, just guides them into distraction. And I have seen it within my siblings. These traumatic experiences as well has led to a distraction for them not to be able to concentrate. And our brains, when they are in this sort of traumatic response, they go ahead and secrete some sort of chemical in our body, which creates the flight or fight response, which creates anxiety, which creates depression. And this is something that is actually being seen by the mental health association within children at the time. Social media is also being exposed to our children, and I've seen it a lot. And as well as in a journal in the American Psychology Association, a lot of children are being given devices to distract themselves. And you can see a 3-year-old with an iPad playing video games, watching YouTube videos, and not being monitored. And this is a way for them to cope. And this has created a lot of issues with ADHD within children nowadays, and a lot of OCD disorders, just due to the fact that this is the way they release some sort of the stress within their life. This is how they have learned to release it. And it's just from there, it goes from the mindful expression. They're definitely not as creative as us when we didn't have these devices, how to cope and how to go outside and distract ourselves. So I do believe our children need some sort of breath control to create realization and reset. And I do believe also that great habits start from youth, and we cannot create a great habit if we don't start them from youth. There is a journal by the Health Environment of Research mentioning that in a lower income family, if meditation is being exposed to the family, there's more probability that children will be able to express themselves to their parents on their needs. And from here, I also like to go ahead and branch out that when it comes to yoga, it necessarily doesn't have to be the psychological or the philosophical portions of it. Yoga is also just breaths. It's also, we can just introduce it to the parents as a breath control, as a reset button. I know a lot of schools in Washington, Seattle have incorporated meditation instead of detention. So, and there's actually a lot of cool things. There's a jail here in Chicago where they started doing yoga. Instead of separating the actual inmates, they take them into a yoga and meditation room. And I actually know one of the teachers who teaches within the jail downtown Chicago. She teaches yoga with the inmates. So I do believe that in reality, it is a good way for us to self-express and teach our children how to cope on their own. And it would be a great thing for their lifestyle and their journey as an individual. I wish I knew these things when I was younger, and I wish I knew how to cope on my own to help me with my education and concentration. I forgot my main point.
Right. Some counter arguments for Stephanie.
Hi, it's me again.
Hi, Linda.
So you want this to be taught in school. So what class would you be replacing? How would this be graded? If it's going to be taught in the classroom, it has to be part of a curriculum. So how would this fit into curriculum, and how will it be graded?
I don't necessarily feel like it should be a curriculum. It probably should be in the start of the day. And then this is something that really will help the children kind of reset and kind of clear them from the beginning of their day. Let's say their bus ride was really hard. The teacher starts off the children with 5 minutes of breathing. We'll start the 5 minutes of breathing. Again, the detention part, if the child gets detention, here's your meditation and 30 minutes of yoga with your yoga instructor. I don't believe that children should be graded for things like this, and that this is what's wrong with our school systems as well. Not a lot of kids are, you can't, like, let's say the testing individual thing. Like I'm horrible at testing. For my ACTs, I had to be in a separate room because I couldn't really concentrate. And I don't think when it comes to something that we're trying to teach our children to cope with, I don't think they should be graded in reality. It should just be introduced in a sense of realization, or in a course in their PE courses. Like welcome to PE. We're going to go ahead and do just a little bit of light stretching. There's no grading within this.
So if you want to do it at the school, then even if it's before school, and that means, are you looking at having someone from an outside place coming in and they're just providing the services, and students can sign up if they want to sign up as far as volunteering it? Because if you still want it to be part of like a PE, it will have to fall into curriculum, and it does have to be graded. There's really no way of getting around that. If it is part of a class, it has to fall into curriculum and be graded. So if you want it beforehand, are you looking then at training someone from the school and paying them as an additional stipend, or are you looking at having someone from outside and they volunteering their services for this?
I do believe the teacher should be taught this. And I do believe that the school system, when it comes to becoming an educator, should be like learn how to psychologically like deal with children, as well as it should be taught like in colleges when it comes to an educator, how to relax. Like it shouldn't necessarily be called yoga, because I know there's a lot of religious and spiritual aspects behind it, but it should be some sort of concentration. I had it the other day where I was like talking to my boyfriend about this subject, and I created this whole entire deal. But it should be some sort of, it shouldn't come from the actual school system. It should come from the educator itself. Like the educator should learn to incorporate this into their teaching methods. The teaching method within like is just, we're all different, I get it, but I also do believe that the more we are exposed to the meditation, the more we become as a community, we can spread the sort of awareness when it comes to mindfulness and healthy living. And I know a lot of people that are still not aware of these things, and it's kind of surprises me because I feel like there's been like an outreach the last couple of years, but I do believe when it comes to the educator should be the main tool to spreading awareness.
All right. We'll take one more question. It was interesting how Linda wanted to see how will this play out. Is it going to be a part of the PE curriculum? Is it going to be are you going to get somebody to volunteer and integrate it? And how you said that this has to be on the educators. So it has to be a part of the education program that the educator goes through, and making that making them equipped to teach children how to meditate.
Yeah, and like in my perspective, I do believe like if we are teaching this as a coping mechanism, I don't necessarily find a reason why it should be graded. If anything, it's just a way for the child to know that they have space, the school has space for them. And then that's where like, again, I like our school systems, they need some sort of like approach to holistic living, which is a little bit harder nowadays because everybody has their own point of view. Some people have an open mind. Some people really stay within where they are and within their lifestyle. So it just kind of depends. But I do believe that kids should be taught some sort of like coping mechanism, and they should be given spaces within schools to learn these things. And I'm grateful that I'm here with my family to teach my siblings these things, because if not, I know my sister goes through anxiety, and she would have been going, because my parents don't know anything about it, and she would have been going through a lot of problems, you know? So it just kind of depends. Like I can't imagine a child, you know, not being able to like express to their parents what they're going through at this moment right now. Like,
and I think that's to me, I feel like this is more of an at-home thing. And I have kids in schools, but I have one child where he's very gifted and he already gets bored in his gifted classes. And so if you're going to take the time to do this, it's going to create, for me, chaos with that child, because he doesn't, like he already sits still enough waiting for the rest of the class to catch up to him.
Yeah.
So this would create more anxiety for him in his day than to move forward. Where I have another child who had more anxiety, but I had him in a group that was specifically for this within his school with his social worker until he was able to kind of cope and get out of it. So, my whole mindset is, it really sounds like this is something you'd really like to do, is to just consider, anything that you're adding into a school teaching setting has to fall into a curriculum that falls into state guidelines, falls into what your building's doing. And once you're having a teacher that's there doing this, then you're looking at money to teach them. You're looking at money to have them do this additional time. This, especially if it's before hours, it's contracted in. If you work before an hour before your start time at 8, you have to look at all that stuff. So again, because it sounds like you're really passionate about this and you could really put a real good case for this, just some pointers as, someone who has kids in the system, where you would go for some yes and some for no.
Yeah.
And I think for myself, I'm pretty active with my kids and understanding them. And so this is stuff that I've started at home with kids that I wouldn't necessarily want them taught at school by someone who doesn't know them and understand them enough to teach them anything like that, myself personally. So
really, I did write it in my paper, like parents who don't have the time to teach coping strategies to their children can benefit from this sort of involvement.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that, you're right, but again, psychologically, I do believe an educator should know how to approach these things. Like, if you're becoming an educator, you should have some sort of psychic background to be able to not dissect a child, but be able to understand their background or how to verbally approach their situation. And as an instructor myself, I've been taught a lot about compassion through the readings, and it's just that compassionate approach. And I don't know, I'm really passionate about children too.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm telling you. These are all points, go for it. Bring it to a school. Why not? You can. So I'm just bringing you some of the points that they're going to bring to you.
I do appreciate those, because it does bring a good point, and that's what the professor mentioned too. When I asked her about this scenario, and she mentioned that too. But I really wanted to do this. Okay.
So a yoga club would be good. I know at my high school we had a yoga club. But for us, if we wanted to do yoga for our football team, my head coach's wife was actually a yoga instructor. So every Fridays before the game and every Sundays, we would do yoga, and that would really help us out, stretch and stay healthy and not get injured. But so I agree with you. It's very important, as well as it does help with the anxiety and things like that. But taking away from school time and academic time, where gym is used to actually now it's used to teach about the heart and cardiovascular system and how those systems work, so that way young ones understand what they're doing to their body, and it's actually helpful for them. But that's why, like Linda said, it would have to be a part of the curriculum, because there is a very set in place curriculum for that. So if every school had a yoga club, possibly, where there was a teacher there that was a licensed yoga instructor, and hey, they wanted to take the time to teach the club, then they could do that. But that's always situational, because not every school has that opportunity and is not that fortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. When it comes to high school students, it's very easy for them to be responsible within what they want to learn. I think I've seen it too much when it comes to younger children and their coping mechanisms. And majority of the parents are not aware of how to teach coping mechanisms. So that's mostly where I wanted to focus on younger children, introducing it at least 3 minutes, before class, like even through the intercom. Okay, guys, this is a moment of silence for you to reset and just feel it in. And welcome to your school day. Is there anybody who would like to clear or just literally release something that you're holding throughout the day? Like that is the sort of involvement that I would love to see for children.
Yeah, but that's kind of like the tough part about being a kid is you're a kid and you don't know anything yet, and you still have to learn a bunch of stuff. And like I said, that's all situational because of the access that you have to those situations. Like as a high school or a middle school in Chicago won't have that opportunity because strictly the amount of people going to the school and the safety of it as well. So all those factors factor in everywhere, across the country. So that's why I feel like if yoga clubs are a great thing because and I feel like they are implemented now, but there's just not enough access globally, or like it's not around every corner enough for kids to see it and go into it and automatically think, oh, I need to do that because it's just good for you, where it's like water, oh, I need to drink that, it's just good for me, you know what I mean? So
I have an educator cousin, and she works with preschoolers, and it's really nice to see her teaching these sort of coping mechanisms to their kids. And that is just one educator that I know. So I mean, I totally agree with everything everybody's saying, and I'm taking it into consideration too. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. I hope, Stephanie, you pursue this passion because it was certainly a very nice new idea. And interestingly, you mentioned how some of the prisons have adopted this, and things happen with the change, right? And the fact that people are so much into mindful living and meditation these days that you could propose this. And as Linda mentioned, when you propose it, then comes with all of the, are you paying them? This is in the curriculum, are you following state guidance? So, but if you are passionate about this idea, and I know that yoga is your thing, I definitely feel that you should work on it and present it. You'd never know where in 2 years, 3 years, we might see Stephanie there, and she's running this whole So, all right, thank you. So what we'll do, class, everybody round up, you can turn on your audio and clap. All right, so here we go. What I'll do, class, is it is around, what time is it right now? We'll take a 5-minute break, okay, like our usual 5-minute break. And we will take a break and then regroup. After Stephanie, we have, there's a change because some of you are mentioned that you cannot do the speech today. So there's a change. So we have Noah as our 5th speaker. And after Noah, we'll have Fernanda. And then after Fernanda, we'll have Isa. All right. So take about a 5-minute break. It's 10:32. Let's regroup at 10:37. All right. Hi class. Sorry, I got delayed by a minute. Had to go and get some coffee. Noah, are you ready? Noah? Give him a minute.
Teacher, are we live on YouTube now?
Yes, we are.
Really?
Yeah. So don't worry, this is not going to be public.
Yeah, just asking. So is any views so far? No.
No views. We are not going to be celebrities, YouTube celebrities. This is just a class for you to, all recording will be just for your, and I'm not going, this is not going to be completely unlisted also. So only you guys will be getting a recording because you have to evaluate yourself and everything. So Noah, oh, Noah's ready. Oh, there you go. All right, Noah, 1 second. Retirement age. I know Noah's good. Okay. All right. First of all, all right, Noah, you can begin. No, we can't hear you. Very, very low. Very low.
My mic was all the way up. Can you hear me now?
What class? I can't hear Noah.
I can barely hear you,
Barely,
Noah.
barely,
Barely
yeah.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now?
What do you do, Noah? Now we can hear you.
I've changed my microphone settings, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, yeah, we can hear. Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you're ready, Noah. Wait, I actually turned it on. I thought that you were. So let me cancel. Okay. Start, Noah. Go. No. Noah. Again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can only hear you when you're standing that close to
Yeah.
it. So you might have to just stand close to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So like just right here?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Wait. Go, Noah.
All right. Should there be a mandatory retirement age in the United States? So the reason I chose this topic is that people do jobs that they love and want to do them for as long as possible. And then there's others who just need their jobs. So, in my opinion, people should never be forced into retirement as it can cause a lot of pain for some people, especially if they love their job. And cutting someone off from that source, that could be even happiness for them. It could fulfill their life for them. You never know. So, in my opinion, it's pretty unfair. So, there is about 20% of adults over the age of 65 in the United States that all work still, and that's just in the United States. So there are many different reasons and situations that people are in as to why they work. There's people who they make a decent income but just love their job, so they just want to stay in their job and they love it. There's people who need their job, may not like it, but you need income, so you have to. Then there's people who make a very low income, but actually love their job, so they don't care. And they just plan on doing it their whole lives because why not? They like it. So a reason why people want a mandatory retirement age in the United States is because it will free up jobs for the younger generations that are coming in, and it will lower the cost of an older employee because they make more. Obviously, as the years go up for them, they get raises and such. So getting rid of them would open up space for more people, and they wouldn't have to pay as much. So they think of it as more money, like a money-based thing, rather than experience, or like I don't know. They just don't think about the person. They think about what would be best for them, which is a business standpoint. So it's obviously fair enough for them. So how you can be against this retirement age that could be forced in the future is you could, in the future, there could be possible presidents that would want to enforce it. And something you could do to be against that is speak against it actively, or you could just vote completely different. So I'm going to talk about one teacher that I had that was pretty much in this situation, and but he isn't retired yet. So I had this teacher in high school named Mr. Roback, and he was a mechanic for over 30 years. And he decided, even though he was already making a really good buck, as all the people in the trades mostly do, they all make really good money, is instead of just retiring, he decided to use his experience and bring it to teaching. So he started at the age of 50 as a teacher, and now he is 70 years old, still teaching at the same high school. I don't believe he's worked long enough. Was at 15 years is not long enough to get pension out of school. So he'd have to work longer to get a pension, even though he already makes good money. But imagine someone with that much passion being forced out of their workplace to hire younger generation people because you could cut the cost of your school. Obviously, it would benefit the school, but you would be losing a very important role in your school and someone who's been there for many years, and someone that can still work. Because a lot of people that get older, they can't work anymore. But for his job, since he's so good at it and he's in good shape, he can do it till he's like 80 or 90, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got to think about people who aren't in such as like good financial spot as him, because obviously he makes a really good bank off of it. But there's people who think of the person that you see that's like 70 years old that's working at like a Julasco. There's nothing wrong with working at Julasco at that age. If you need the money, you need the money. But imagine you have to force them out of their job just based off their age. It could even cause them to go bankrupt or homeless if they don't have support from family. So to close this out, if there is a need for it and there is somebody that's trying to push it, I highly recommend being against the mandatory retirement age. Yeah, that's my speech.
Thank you. All right, some counter arguments for Noah. We went through this while we were in our small mini groups.
Yeah, I'm gonna like totally let someone else take it because I already put Noah through when we went there. So
I appreciate
Noah,
it.
you get a pass at me because you already had me the first round.
I really agree with Noah because everybody wants to work so as long as possible if they're still alive. So when I came here, because in Europe there's a limited age, I think 65 years old, but here people can work forever if they want. But the thing that surprised me at TOD is that there was a math teacher in my class. It was called Colucci, I think.
Okay.
And I didn't know about her, but when she responded to me email, she put her age, and she said that she was 94, and I was surprised because she looked like 50, 60. She didn't look like 94. Her walking was very fast. She was walking with her luggage and inside the building COD, and she walked very fast. I was surprised because people, that age in my country, 94, doesn't look like that, like her. She looked like very young age. And so what I understood is that work can keep you like alive, still alive, can keep you like move fast. Stay like, if you keep going with activities, you live longer, I think. You live longer. So age is not, doesn't count. It's just a number.
So Henry, in your this was more of a you're basically supporting Noah's
Yeah,
claim.
supporting. No, not.
But,
I'm supporting.
which is I think I always like the fact that you tell us something from international, a European perspective, which kind of really adds to our discussion to see how things happen there and then how things happen here. Just makes the conversation very rich. I would like to hear somebody counter arguing, coming up with a claim that opposes Noah's claim. No mandatory age for
I
retirement.
will. If no one's going to speak, I'll have to speak then, Noah. I always think I can think of opposites really quickly. It's part of the jobs I've done. That's all it comes down to. Not really personal, guys. So you said there's no mandatory age. So when you're talking about anyone with pensions and things, where would their pension go though if they never retire? What happens to that money?
Say that again. Could you hear me?
Noah, we've lost you. Cannot hear you.
1 second.
He said, can you say again?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No.
No, very little.
Hello.
There you
Can you hear
are.
me?
Yeah.
I'm my bad for the mic thing. I can't control it. That's this computer. Could you repeat what your question was again? I couldn't hear it.
I said, for anyone who has a pension, if they're going to keep working until they die, then do they need a pension? So should we consider removing pensions then?
That's a tough question. I'm not gonna lie.
What is pension?
Noah, if you know, if not, I'll answer.
Yeah. Pretty much in America, if you work a certain amount of years for a specific job, there's a very small amount of jobs that do this, but if you work a certain amount of years for a job, you can get paid after retirement. You get like paid retirement pretty much. And every year you'll make like a certain amount of money for not work. You like won't be working anymore, but the company will still be paying you after you retire. Pretty much.
You don't, Henry, you haven't heard. This is not a familiar concept for you. Like doesn't happen.
No, pension. What is pension? I didn't know the word. What is that?
Pension is as you just mentioned, like throughout, and not all jobs do that. Okay, that has to be made clear. But there are some jobs where throughout your working career, you are also saving enough money, which your employer does that, so that after you retire, you still get a paycheck from the.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As much
My
as
dad,
salary,
yeah.
But it is going to be a good amount of money.
It's retirement, yeah, with
So
a reduced price. I know, because my
do you
dad.
have something like that?
Yeah,
there?
my dad used to be a police officer in my country, like
Yes.
kind of SWAT team.
Yeah.
So he used to work for more than 25 years, I think. 20 years. So 20 years. So there is a law in my country. So who is like a police or works for government, after 15 years, if he gets retired, he's gonna get money forever. So he's gonna get, I don't know how you say in English.
Okay,
so after retire, you get money all the time.
So we call it
if you're alive.
Even here,
Yes.
most government.
So if you have another job, you can have extra money from the government that you paid. So yeah, that's true.
So what do you all call it? You don't say pension. What do you say?
Excuse me?
What do you all call this? What your dad get? What is there a term for it? Like we call it pension here.
I didn't get the question.
Do they consider, what's the name of it? Is it called a pension? Is it just a benefit? What is it called?
It's like the money that, I don't know.
There's
Yeah, I
not a
think yeah,
term?
pension. It's pension. It's pension.
It's
It's pension.
but,
I didn't know.
okay.
I didn't know. I didn't know the word in English. Yeah, it's pension.
Got it.
So
Okay.
after you work for several years, there is a law. You're gonna get money forever.
Okay.
It's not a
Yeah.
benefit. It's a law.
It's the
Even
same.
So yeah, if you work for government or for state,
yeah.
they do that. But private companies, they might pay, but not very good, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Same
So
here.
if you work for government for several years, you get tired, you can do another easier job for private company. You get money from private company and free money from government. So
Yeah.
that's
So
good.
that's why I told Noah, if we're going to allow everyone to work until they no longer want to work, then why would we need a pension?
Yeah.
Then
Now
let's remove the
They
pension.
need because they've
Are
been
you-
working. They've been serving. That's why. For
But
the
that's why
government.
that was my counter to Noah. I like having a pension. I have a pension. I work for the school districts. I'm a government employee. But my counter to Noah was, well, if we're going to let everyone work until they no longer want to work because they feel that they can work until 90, then we don't need a pension.
No, they need because that's money because they've been
But that's what I'm asking Noah. That's what I'm
working.
asking Noah, Henry. I'm asking Noah that. That was my
then
counter to
let
him.
Noah respond. Noah has a few cheerleaders, I guess. Yeah.
They've been working for you. That's why.
Yeah, my response to that is I definitely get what you're saying. It would make sense to do that. I guess it really depends on the job that you have and if it allows pension. But for obviously for jobs that give out pension, I guess it really is a kind of a hard one for like a lot of, I'd say to answer because I mean some people you could like point out that they've worked so hard over the years that they might deserve it. And then obviously with your point is if they've worked that long, would they even need the money to do that? I would say give them the pension maybe because they've earned it, but it's really a hard one. I don't even know. That's like a big debate kind of topic.
No, I know. I again, just no one was asking questions, so I threw that one out there. I didn't really expect you to really have a real answer to it, but you know, that's kind of what you would do. I've worked HR for a long time, guys. So I would do interviews. I've done talks with unions. Like I know how to look at something, and even if I agree with it, I know how to ask a question or two to it because I have to think that way. Like I work in the business office, but I'm an employee. So when I'm looking at a policy change, I have to look at it as a business person and what the business would be well, but I have to also look at myself as an employee and like which way, you know, what's fair. So whenever I have to look at things, I have to look at that way. I like pensions. I don't plan to work full time after 55. So that's what my plan is. I don't want to keep working until I'm 90. I don't want to keep working until after I'm 60. I will be working part-time after 55. So if you guys see me at a Walmart when I'm an old lady working part-time, that's because I wanted to, because I don't want to work full-time anymore. So
Gary decided on Walmart too.
anywhere, but like I'll consult. I'll be a part-time secretary. I can be a nanny. I was a nanny for a long time. I just will not work full-time after 55. I have been working at this point for damn near 30 years. I'm already burnt out. I can't imagine working another 30.
Yeah, my mom's a teacher for an elementary school, so she wants to get the hell out of there because it's like really bad with like online learning and stuff. So
yeah, we had a lot of unexpected last minute retirees come through this year. I actually had 5 that have put in for the retirement in the last month. And that's usually really not seen because we do give retirement incentives. So something else, Noah, just for you to know, we give retirement incentives. So anyone that wants to put in that they're going to retire in 4 years, you actually get a bump up for those next 4 years to meet the retirement system max of like an additional 6%. And so then when you retire, they look at your last 4 years. So you'll have the highest income in 4 years. So you could have the highest amount of percentage that they will base your pension off of. So there's a lot of incentives to retire. And I know people that have been in my school for 35 years. They're ready to go. So again, I've been working for 30 years. and I'm only 39, guys. So I am like ready to be done working already. So by the time I am 55, I will not be working full time anymore.
And we know where to find you.
You will find me somewhere that's not a full-time position at behind a desk.
All
Thank
right.
you, Noah. You did great.
Thank you.
Good question.
Right. Let's go with Fernanda. You ready?
Yeah.
All
Hold on.
right.
Give me 1 second. I'm
Okay.
at my parents' house and I have to set up a little bit. So just give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
Yes. Let's see. Yes, we can all see you and hear you. Okay. All right. Let me just put this pin, like I'm not pin, I'm like the timer. 1 second here. Let's see from here. Second, timer. Yeah, there you go. I got it. Ready?
Yeah.
And then go.
So raise your hand if you've ever hated taking a test. So just like Stephanie was saying earlier that she hates taking the ACT. So I'm here to talk about how we should get rid of standardized testing. So standardized testing, I know a lot of people in my life that have been through it and have done horribly at it. And not because they're bad students or because they are not good at in school, but they just don't have the patience to sit through a test or have anxiety or have ADHD. So I just think that it's not fair for a student to be tested with a test that will determine their future. So by taking a standardized testing, you are being put in a certain spot that if you get less than 18, you're not allowed to go into, it's not that you're not allowed to, but you're just not going to be accepted into a college of your dreams or a university of your dreams. And I don't think that's fair. I think students should be tested by their academics and by the clubs they're in, sports they're in, their involvement in school. I don't think they should be tested and put into groups, So I think standardized testing is okay if you are at first to fifth grade, because some students are slower with their reading. So maybe you should be put into a group with students that need to work in their reading, and maybe not in different classes, maybe just have the students stay later in class so they can, catch up on their reading, and they're not being put into, a certain class group. I was explaining last time that my husband has ADHD and his mom decided not to give him medication for ADHD because it made him a different person. So when it came to being tested, he got tested and he tested really low because of his ADHD. He couldn't concentrate on taking a test for 4 hours. He just wasn't interested in it. So then because of that those test results, he was put into a group of slower students. When he wasn't slow, he was actually really smart, but he just couldn't test well. So then all through first grade through sixth grade, he was put into a group where he couldn't show his real talents and he couldn't really show how smart he was. So once he got into high school, he was put into regular classes and he was able to show, how talented he was. And he was accepted into NIU and different universities. So I just think standardized testing is not the best way to find out how somebody should, how somebody's understanding of their classes are, because standardized testing, they're not testing you on the daily stuff that you're learning. The questions are, they've been around for 150 years or longer than that. So the questions are sometimes old, and they're not the best questions. They're meant to trick you. They're meant to trick your brain. So the daily stuff that you're learning is what is, sometimes you don't use it in the real world. So the ACT questions, they're not, you don't see them ever again. So I just think that it's something that we should definitely think about, getting rid of. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of it, but I think they should. Overall, I think it may be said that standardized testing needs to stop. Students should not have their future determined by a test. It should be determined by their daily involvement in school and their clubs that they're in. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Second.
And I'm not ready for any counter arguments. I suck at those. So
Oh, you'll be fine.
It'll be fun. So let's hear because I want to see whether everybody's understanding how to do a counter argument. Let's hear from someone who we haven't heard from as of now. So let's see, we heard from, who's here? Unless we heard from Henry, Stephanie. Just looking at the list right now. Let's hear from, let's hear from, we heard from Fabian also. Let's hear from Isa.
I don't really know because I suck at taking tests as well. Let's see. I mean, universities can argue that how would they see the, potential, quote unquote, of somebody without standardized tests, because the system has been, for however many years, they've based it on standardized testing and very little on volunteering and other extracurricular activities. So that's what I would say.
yeah, so I think they should change the way they're, accepting students, because there's just I was involved in different clubs. I was part of student council. I was part of, sports, and my classes, my grades were great. But then when it came to testing, I suck at testing. So I just think that they should base themselves on how the students really doing. Then if students just think about it, okay, well, my tests are not, my classes, I'm not gonna do great on them. I'm just gonna get a C, whatever. I'm not gonna try. But then on my ACTs, I'm going to do really good at it, and then I'm going to, get accepted into a university. But then again, another argument, I guess, is that sometimes they do look at your grades. So forget that part.
Forget that part. Okay.
Yeah, I have something to say.
Yeah.
I feel like, well, a lot of the schools look at the grades, or when you go into the position that you want to go for. But a lot of people that have had just experience, I guess, with the job, they usually get that position. But there's also other people who, the grades that they get in college and everything, they go for the position they want, they get the job, but then there's someone who has no experience with the grading, but they're good at their job. But employers usually prefer people who have documented proof of it. So it's wouldn't you have to change that? The preference.
The transcript and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I just my overall thing is that if they do want to do standardized testing and they do want to grade us and stuff, it should be more on common sense stuff, in stuff that we're learning, not stuff that we're not learning about. So, sometimes they test you on stuff that you learned your freshman year, or I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really, I was confused about what Miguel told me. Is it a position like when you're older, or?
Yeah, well, what you were saying, what your speech was about was just how the standardized testing is seen throughout like the schools and the way they do that.
Mhm.
And my point was like what I was trying to tell you is when people get into a certain job position, employers usually look at like the grading stuff from college just to see who they are as a person. And I guess what I was trying to say is that they usually judge others before they get to know them. I feel like it would be worth a shot to give them at least a try.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, I definitely agree with you because like I said, some people like the day of the test, they might have something going on and they might test bad. In other schools, like Stephanie, she was put in a different room and by herself. Other schools don't give you that option. Like they just they just want you to do it there, or you have to have a lot of documentation like to show them that you have ADHD and you have to be separated, so they don't have those options. But yeah, I agree with you. Like I think that jobs shouldn't look at how you did in school, because some people were just not good students but they're great like workers.
Yeah, yeah, they could be like great workers. They could have good communication, things that they learn throughout their families. And a lot of schools, well, when Stephanie was mentioning that about coping mechanisms, communication has a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're taught from young to do all this, to communicate with others, to express your feelings, by the time you're older and you get out into the world and do what you want to do, you have all of this with you. You take it with you. You emphasize it, you place it upon what you want to do, and that you see what like you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Now, I'm just going to interject here. Like I know, and I think we went, me and Fernanda, we went, and who was in our group, Fernanda, while we were, I'm sorry?
Isa?
Who? Isa was there. Yes. Isa was there in our group. And I think one of the things, and maybe Henry can also add here because he has an international perspective. For us in India, when I grew up in India, interestingly, it's a little different. Like all of you have to study all subjects, right, till 12th grade. In India, by the time you're done with your 10th, but till 10th grade, everything, math, science, all the subjects are there. But after the 10th grade, you're given a choice. You can either choose humanities or liberal arts, or you choose math and science, or you choose like finance. You can specialize right after the 10th grade. So after you're 16, you can specialize. And once you specialize, after your 12th exam is our standardized exam, if you will. So all the schools and again, it's according to state, all right, in India, different states, just like we have different states here. So different states, there was this one state that I belong to. So all the schools in that state will have the same exam. All right. So if we study English, everybody's going to get the same question. So my school is going to get the same questions. That school in the same state, in all this, who, again, it's difficult for me to, so there's a board. So I choose this board, and all the schools who prescribe to this board will get the same questions. It is not SAT, or it is not ACTs or SAT. It's not that. But it is standardized because all of us gets the same questions. So once I go to college, the college team knows that all these kids who come from different schools, they were all given the same questions. All right. But it is not SAT or, it's a different. So we were also subjected to standardized testing. Otherwise, and not only that, they would see our score. And on top of that, just to make sure that they're screening the best students, we would have to sit for an admission test as well. So the school, the college would have their own admission test and look at the school GPA from my school. Okay. So both screens would come, and then the top students, and it depends. If you're going to a very good school, only the top students will get, just like any, and then if you're going to an average school, your score doesn't have to be that, just like any others, it's just similar. But I just wanted to throw this out because we have also been subjected to a standardized exam. But the good thing is that I didn't have to study. I thank God I didn't have to do math. I don't know how you guys do it. I didn't have to do math, science, and all that. I didn't have to do all that. So that was the best part, because I knew that I want to be a liberal arts major. So I chose that, and I didn't have to, from my 11th and 12th grade, I was done with math. But when I came here, I got to hear that people have to still do college algebra and math in school, in college. I'm like, oh my God, when does it end for you guys? So I was very like, and because I was thinking of again going to school here, though I got my master's from India, and then I came back and I did a second master's here. So I was like, I don't want to go to school in US again and do my undergraduate, because I don't want to do math and science again.
It's the same in Mexico. In Mexico, because I went to school there until I was 11. So I graduated 6th grade at 11, and then you get to go to like high school, but you get to choose what you want to do. Like you get to go like your path. So all your classes are meant to do what you wanna, like if you want to go into teaching, then your classes are that,
Exactly. Same here. So I was also subject to standardized testing, and I don't think at that point I'm not a good test taker as well. So I wish they could see different things that I did throughout my school to make a judgment. Okay, they didn't. The system, I'm a part of the system. I had to go with the system. I hope they can make some changes, to this whole standardized testing thing. But I also understand, because in India, the population is so much, how much they need some metric to make sure that, there's a uniform method for everyone, just like in any country. So, yeah. Does anybody want to add to this perspective?
I had a friend who was accused of cheating at the ACTs just because he scored very high and his grades were really bad. So He was accused of cheating, but he's really smart. He just didn't participate in his homework. He didn't do anything. So he was accused of cheating. So I mean,
that was me.
Yeah.
I know, but if you don't have evidence, how do they know that he was cheating?
They just suspect because his grades were so low. They think that you don't know, but I was the same way. I actually passed all my classes with tests. Tests were always higher grades. I did no homework at all. I had 0 homework handed in. Everything was just on my tests, and I passed all my classes. I was working, again, I've been working since 14. I leave school and I'd go to work. So I didn't have time for homework. I had to go to work or help at the house. So I did great in all my tests. I'm great with class participation. So I passed all of my classes, but I did no homework whatsoever. None at all. But I did everything with tests. And I will say that if I know with testing, it does show a certain amount. My oldest son, actually, when he came to testing, his points weren't where they needed to be to get into those AP classes.
Yeah.
But when he went to high school, all of his teachers knew that he could do the work, and they all wrote him letters of recommendation to put him in AP classes in high school. So with the letters of recommendation that he received and the hard work that he still had put in, he was able to get those higher classes to meet his level of work in the classroom, because he would get bored. He would get bored in the class, but the tests weren't, he was off by a few points, but the teachers knew he could do the work. So there's, a few things to get around it sometimes, but yeah.
Right. And in fact, I don't know how many of you have watched this. This was you don't need to watch Netflix for that, but that was this, remember the college scandal that happened? the huge college scandal that happened. You know how that was very, I actually saw that Netflix. I was shocked, like how they could get somebody else to take the students' ACT exams, show some special needs, and get somebody else to help them or to basically cheat with
Parents
ACT.
would pay for the children.
Yeah.
Pay somebody
Yeah.
else to take a test for the children, and it
Yeah.
actually worked.
Yeah, I saw that, and this was actually on Netflix. If you know the college scan, and it's just shown.
I did watch it. Yeah.
It was pretty wow. It was like pretty powerful. I mean, if you've watched that college thing, like how they've paid their way and made other people take their test, that amount of cheating. So, okay,
Professor, can I say something? So
yeah,
what is this? What is this SAT test? I have no idea.
okay. Who does anybody want to take this question, or should I? Okay, I'll just. So SAT is you know to right after during I think during several stages in their high school and also starts from the I think 9th or 10th grade is they take pre-SAT, which is these are standardized exams that students have to take. So it's like they are tested on reading, they're tested on math, they're tested on the basic subjects, reading, math, and writing. These are the things that they're tested on. And it's the same, like basically this is same throughout US. It's the same, it's not the same questions, but basically the same curriculum. It's based out of these SAT exams. So if you have to get into college, you need to either take the ACT or you can take the SAT to get into college. Okay, so it's
So do you do this test after finishing high school or during high school?
Not after finishing high school. They do it before,
Before finishing.
Before finishing. And I'm saying this, please interrupt me because I haven't been a part of the school list, but I'm
It's your junior year. Your
junior.
junior year, you have to take them, because then your senior year is when you're applying for colleges, and they usually want those numbers. COVID threw a wrench in it. A lot of colleges were not asking for those test scores because a lot of juniors were not able to take them because they would have had to take them in March and April when the schools closed.
Yeah.
So a lot of colleges did not require them this year, but they required a little bit more letters of recommendation if you didn't have those scores.
Right. So that's what I can tell you is the ones that I gave to get into grad school here right after college. You know, if you still want to continue after your bachelor's, you want to, let's say, do your master's or your PhD, then to get into grad school, not all, but most schools require you to take the GRE, which I took. GRE, or some schools say that either you take the GRE or you take there's another one, I can't remember right now. Miller's, I don't know whether they still have that, the MAT test, the Miller's analogies test. So I took the GRE. So again, that's a standardized exam based out of, I think when I did it long back, it was based out of analytical, quantitative, and verbal. 3 things that we were tested on. Now they added I've heard that they've added another component, which is writing. It wasn't there when I took it. So we were just tested on these 3 things. So you get a score, and then you have your own. My college from India, I had my own GPA, and then I came to this country, took the GRE, and I had my college GPA, and then I started applying for grad school. And on the basis of how I did, I got accepted in a grad school. And then again, it depends. There are several tiers. So if you do really well, then you get some grad schools also offer you scholarship, right? So it could be a financial scholarship, or you could also be getting hired by them as their teaching assistant, which I was, or a research. If you're doing research oriented work, especially in the sciences, which I didn't. I used to teach, I used to assist professors in college. So I was a TA, so that would pay for my college tuition and also give me a little bit of money for my living expenses, which wasn't much. I think we would get around $12,000 per year, which was good enough for me to, live, and my college would be paid for. So that's how it worked. So I can tell you about graduate school, and they'll be able to tell you about because I haven't done my undergrad here. So yeah.
No, I'm saying that because I never did any tests like that when I came at COD. I only did the reading, writing, and listening test, and
And you
that's it.
had to do that, Henry, because you didn't have those scores. If you had those scores, you wouldn't have had to do a lot of extra testing. But because you didn't have the scores, you had to do the testing. So when I was in high school, it was not mandatory to take any testing. You had to pay out of pocket. But now the school actually pays for it, and you have to take this testing to graduate. So if you did the testing, you don't have to do a lot of extra math, writing, or anything, because the ACT, SATs test that already. So they have your scores. But
So I
because
didn't
you
have
and
that.
I didn't do the testing, we had to do the reading, the writing, and the math to get
Yeah.
those same scores for them.
Yeah, so they call it placement testing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so they're placing you. If you low to score, then you have to be on the classes. Like you have to start from the beginning, right? In math, if I suck in math, so I like tested really low. So then I had to start from like college algebra, which is like you learn that in like freshman year. So then so yeah, it sucks, but yeah, it's called placement test. They don't call it standardized testing, but they do call it the placement test. So yeah,
That's right. Yeah, thanks.
Don't worry, Fernanda. Me and my son were I was doing college algebra too with his freshman algebra. He was helping me with my math. So
yeah,
and I do accounting for a living. It's just different math. But so I'm with you. Don't worry about it.
I have my 21-year-old brother like literally do my help me through my homework. So it's yeah.
Yeah. He was 14, and I'm like, come on, let's figure this out. And he's like, oh, let's go to these apps. They help us find the answers. Like walk you through it. I'm like, okay, let's walk it through so that we understand what we're doing. So yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
All right. Thank you so much, Fernanda. Nice discussion.
Thank you.
Right. Our last speaker today, it's around 11. What time? Okay, we are not doing bad on times. But today I will not get the time to do our discussion on the KKK speech that you heard. We will be covering it in our next class. So I will be talking to you about what's coming up for our next session, your homework, and all of that after Isa does his speech. He's our last speaker, and after that we're going to get counter arguments for him, and then I'm going to give you a plan of what's going to come for next week. All right, Isa, you're on. 1 second here.
Y'all hear me correct? Like good?
I'm sorry, Isa, say that again.
You guys can hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sure.
I'm just trying to get my timer. Okay, so 1 second. All right, here we go. Isa, you can go. Start.
All right, guys, my topic is on why people should exercise. So one thing I want to point out before, when a person thinks about the word exercise, you probably think about someone who's in the gym for 2 hours, like a big bodybuilder, eating a lot, drinking a lot of water. Or if you play basketball like I do, you walk into a gym, he's 6'4", he's built like an athletic freak, and he can jump out of the gym. Well, contrary to that, in my opinion, exercise is something that can help you with your physical and your mental health. Studies show that if you exercise with a proper diet on a regular basis, you have an increased chance of being disciplined, happier, and overall you lead a healthier lifestyle than of someone who doesn't regularly exercise. So now you're probably asking, why exercise? That's a great question. So I'd like to give an example of our minds. Just like our minds, they need constant studying and learning to become smarter and to use our intuition to our maximum potential. Our bodies work the same way. If we exercise with proper diet on a daily basis, our organs, tendons, muscles, tissues, and it helps us them stay healthy. I would like to give you an example of a plant. If you have a plant and you neglect it, don't water it, you don't use the right soil, what's gonna happen to it? It's gonna look burnt up, it's gonna look lifeless, and eventually it's just gonna die. So in a similar way, we have to take care of our bodies, and if we do take care of our bodies in turn will thank us by improving our bodily functions. From the outside, you look better. From the inside, you will feel better, and you will feel like you can accomplish things on a day-to-day basis that which you couldn't before, or you can do it better. So now, just give me a minute of your time and close your eyes and think about what would you do after a long and hard day. Usually, people after work or school, they plop on their couch, open up Netflix, and would just hoard junk food into their mouths. Or if you're like me, I'm not a morning person. You get up in the morning, you don't want to talk to anybody, you're grumpy, you're groggy, you're not attentive at all. So whether it's day or night, exercise is a great way to relieve daily stresses of your life, whether it's night or day. So studies at Mayo Clinic show that there is a connection between stress and being active. When you exercise, your brain releases endorphins, which is the feel-good chemical, which makes you feel happier. Additionally, when you exercise in the right way, not just doing whatever without knowing, potentially getting injured. If you do it the right way, it can potentially negate the negative effects of stress. It can increase your confidence and improve your sleep quality. So all in all, it's a win-win situation for everybody. So now I would like to shift my focus to other people and ourselves. Imagine if people take time to exercise. Right now, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. Right now, most of our problems, I say most, are due to COVID. And they're either physical or mental. Physical in being you have the virus and you're sick or you're recovering, and mental as in you can't go out your house, you can't see nobody. You're probably like really isolated and you have unhealthy coping mechanisms. So what I would say is start exercising, even if it's 10 minutes a day. Maybe FaceTime somebody, get them involved in exercising too, and who knows, many months later after we can meet again, hopefully you'll see a physical and mental change in them. Like who wouldn't want to see a loved one or a friend have that change? Like after all this talk about how exercise helps even the most normal of people, we have to talk action. First, you have to find what sport or certain exercises you want to partake in, and then you have to schedule an easy routine, and I emphasize easy, that fits your daily schedule. Remember, exercise does not mean you have to be in the gym for 2 hours every day. It means going for a walk, doing yoga, aerobics, jump rope, basketball, you name it, whatever you like. And when I highlighted an easy routine, you have to ease yourself into it. You don't go 100%, 120% the first week and then burn out for the rest of the year. Whatever you do, whatever exercise you choose, do this for at least 10 to 30 minutes every day. And remember, in exercise, quality over quantity and being active matters a lot. And if you pursue exercising on a regular basis, your body is going to need more to eat. So in turn, you will also have a proper diet. And just try your best to stay consistent and never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa. Who wants to argue with this one?
Take it easy on me, guys.
Who wants to argue? Who wants to counter argue? Okay, let's hear from someone from whom we haven't heard today. So Stephanie, Noah, everybody, I've actually heard from everyone today. Stephanie, Noah, Linda, Kendo. Oh, Kendo?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of find it hard to sort of come up with an argument.
Yeah.
Because just working on in general is really good for your mental state and your body and your soul. So I find it like I don't think there's anything I could really say.
You can really, okay, all right. Does anybody have a counter argument? I can just tell you that think about the fact that he kind of covered his ground well, because he kind of gave us a lot of things, yoga. He told us different things that, I'm sorry?
I got one.
Oh, you got, okay, there you go. Okay.
What if you're trying to get bigger, right? And you're trying to bulk, right?
Yep.
So you would think that if you intake more calories over and not do anything, allow those calories to accumulate in your body, and then over time, say you do that for a month, right? And then you go back into a gym, your body has already accumulated to having, say, 20 pounds of more weight on it. So that's obviously a substantial amount. And then once you cut that all off, that would obviously, you would have to go to the gym to do that. But wouldn't that work? So wouldn't you have to now work out for that period of time?
Yeah, but listen, like I've had some experience in working out because like I got basically my family's a bunch of doctors. So what do you call it? Is if you sit for a month, that's 24 hours every single day for 30 days, 29 and 30 days. If you sit for a month just hoarding food into your mouth, don't you think when you get into the gym after 1 month of eating all that, even if you're eating healthy, like but usually when people bulk, they just eat, they do dirty bulks. They eat whatever they want, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So like especially in football, like over like the off season, sometimes they dirty bulk. So like if you have all that unhealthy stuff in your body and then you go to the gym after 1 whole month of eating that stuff, I'm pretty sure your chances of getting injured after lifting heavy weights to get bulky, you're gonna get injured because your muscles are like they're not used to it. So you
You're
have a higher
correct.
chance of getting injured unless like even like I'm not saying like if you want to bulk, yeah, you can eat a lot, but also go for a walk, maybe go for like a run, like a light run, stretch, or just do something so your
But
muscles don't
won't
get
that
injured.
keep you at the same?
What about after heart surgery?
Yeah,
You
there's
have rehab, don't you? After surgeries?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
after heart
exercise.
surgery.
Mhm.
That's exercise. Like that's why I thought about it. If nobody had a kind of argument, like people that are paralyzed, like hip down, I mean they still have a form of rehab that they have to do just to keep everything like in your legs and your lower extremities like relatively healthy.
What if I get my brain uploaded into a computer?
And then you like I don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
Isa, that was the question I was gonna throw out there if no one else had anything, was just gonna say, okay, so how do you address this with someone that has certain disabilities
Yeah.
or has conditions? Like how could you encourage them to go to a gym? What would that technique be for yourself to get someone that has some sort of a like he says, a heart disease or something that has them nervous about being able to go in, or past injuries?
Yeah.
How would you kind of present that maybe to them? I know it's not an argument because I don't have a full argument, but
Yeah. I got
someone could say, hey, I have a heart condition. I can't go running and walking. So now what?
So basically, like you said, it depends on what disability, like I don't want to say disability because it kind of takes away from the person, but depends on what condition you have. Like if you're gonna have like a heart disease or whatever, obviously you're not gonna go out and play a whole football game. You're gonna just, even if going outside and stretching for like maybe 10-20 minutes, even that is considered exercise. For me, like with the injuries, I honestly gave up basketball at one point because how much I was getting injured and how much like going to the doctor, getting MRIs, this, that, and the other. So it's just if you have the resources, you can get someone like more knowledgeable to take you to the gym. If you have, say, autism or something, maybe like someone can oversee you doing those exercises. And exercise, like I want to highlight this. It doesn't mean sweating, getting your shirt wet, like nothing like that. Like I'm telling you, like my grandpa, he used to walk at least a mile every day. And he was like up there, he was like 67, 70 years old. So he used to walk a mile every day without fail. So even walking, going outside, stretching like that, I mean, it helps.
Breathing is an exercise. But my counter argument is also like my cousin has a chronic disease. So whenever she does anything physical, anything that's really hard on her muscles, I forgot it started with fibro, she flares and she will go through pain through maybe a week or two after she walks for 2 miles or 3 miles. And she's that type of person that relies on medical marijuana. So in reality, like I do agree with exercise, but for her, that's really tough.
Yeah, because the same thing. My mom has fibro. So what she does is she doesn't do a lot of exercise, and whenever she does, she's probably down and out for like 2 weeks. So she just stretches and goes to the doctor, chiropractor, gets massages and stuff like that. So with there, you just have to, and with fibro, I think it's a lot of muscular pain. So you got to stay hydrated and stuff like that. So
One of the things is, I don't know how many of you, and while I was talking to Isa last week, we did discuss this, is to highlight, we talked about he talked about the importance of exercise and how important exercising is, which is true, it is important. But however, I did mention it to him that nutrition, what does he think about nutrition? Because when I would go to the gym, then whoever the gym instructor would say that it is 80% nutrition and 20% physical exercise. So, and this is not the best counter argument for him, because he is not and this is a learning moment for all of you. If I'm saying this, what about nutrition? This is not the best counter argument, because that's not what he's claiming. He's just saying that physical exercise is something that all of us should be doing. All right. All right, 1 second here. Okay. So that's what he's saying, but I am kind of giving him I'm sidetracking him. In a debate kind of a situation, this is not, I would be, the judge would be able to tell me that you're sidetracking. It's not not the best question for him. But however, I just want to, just for the benefit of an exercise, or the benefit of thinking, and for all of you to understand, I would also like to highlight this new thing is, he talks about the importance of exercising. However, has he ever considered how important nutrition is actually? It is 80% nutrition and 20% physical exercise. What are his thoughts about it? It's not really a counter argument, but it kind of pushes him to, I'm going to press him and push him to see how much he's thought about nutrition as well. Because his whole topic is about exercise, and his whole topic is about fitness, and nutrition has a huge contribution towards it. Has he thought about it? Has he done research about it? So that's why I'm pressing him with this question. So now, Isa, what do you think about nutrition and 80% of our weight loss? Okay.
I agree with that, definitely. Like, even throughout my speech, whenever I mentioned exercise, I said with the proper diet as well, if you guys were listening. But okay, like, 2 questions come to mind. If you eat all the proper nutrition in the world and you don't exercise, what's gonna happen? Your muscles aren't used to exercising. They're gonna get the nutrients, but as soon as you exercise without exercising for 5 years, you're probably gonna get injured. Same way, if all you do is exercise and you don't eat, you're gonna get injured. So you have to find that, balance in between.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
How about when it comes to overly processed products, gluten, all of those others, how there's been a speculation between like whole foods and not so nutrient whole foods?
I mean, yeah, that comes in with the longevity of your life. Usually people in COVID, they're passing away relatively early, but before COVID, our life expectancy is probably like 80 years, something like that. So, I mean, if you got to be smart, anything you do in life, you got to be smart about it, right? So if you trying to exercise, you literally have to sit down, plan out every little thing to the detail. On top of that, you have to figure out, where am I getting my food? Is it organic? Is it GMO? Are they pumping my chicken with hormones? So you gotta like literally sit down and do this stuff. And that's like just the base. If you're gonna be like over the top about it, about getting in the gym and gaining like 20 pounds of muscle, then you gotta be even more,
Yeah, you do. My son actually went from 180 to 220 last year during the off season, getting ready for football. And he lost body fat within gaining muscle. And it was a very strict diet and exercise plan. So Fabian, you can't just eat everything to bulk up and not go to the gym. Just throwing that out there for you. But he had a very intense, and everything is in layers. So like to gain the first 20 pounds, it was like pizza. He could have a whole pizza was part of his diet. But once he gained those 20 pounds, then they switched over to, you know, he went from like red meats. Then when he got the last 40 pounds, it switched over to have more lean meats because he was at his weight. So then you don't want to keep adding fats and stuff to it. So, and then his workout schedule would change too. Now I had him with a trainer that specifically trains for football and this type of a weight gain. He didn't just go find a program on the internet. I did pay some money. I paid about $600 to have him with this trainer to go through this program to do this. So it is very specialized on how to get all your eating and stuff in there the right way.
Yeah, especially with athletes, like it's generally tough because you have to, whatever sport you play, your diet and your exercise is designed to, like if you play football, I would imagine like because you're wearing cleats on the turf, like it would be more, it's like more whole body because you got to be strong to play football, but generally your legs, because if you make a wrong turn while wearing cleats, your knees could get torn up. That's why I never play soccer, I never play football. But for basketball, you have the court that can give some leeway, you have cushioned shoes, so it's still that amount of like leg workouts, but it's not as much. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. I was actually, when we were going back and forth, I really liked Isa's response to this. And he says that, well, you're doing this for your nutrition. What about, you have the best nutrition. What about exercising your flexibility, your muscles? Nothing for that? Because and I wanted him to kind of, again, to tell me that because I
think I mentioned in my speech, I'm not sure, like when you work out, your body automatically gonna need the nutrition, because if you work out without the nutrition, so something's gonna click in your head. You're gonna be like, why am I feeling even more tired? Maybe let's look at what I'm eating, what I'm drinking. So it's gonna come automatically.
Right, comes automatically. Wonderful. Thank you all of you. Round of applause. Some nice speeches today. Wonderful discussion. Great speeches today. Persuasive speeches. It was such a nice discussion in the morning. Learned so much. All right. So now what I'll do is, we have how many minutes? Oh, we are about time. See, I mean, for only 4 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is, this has been recorded, and I will be sending you this link. It'll be a YouTube link. As I mentioned to you, it's not working for me. The Zoom the Zoom usually does it recording. I don't know for all instructors at COD. I heard that this is an issue. So I'm loading it on YouTube. Who cares? So you will be getting a YouTube link. Your homework for this is week 13 for your upcoming week. Your homework will be to self-evaluate yourself. Okay. So once you go into one, let me just go here, share screen. Okay, 1 second. 1 second.
One question. Don't we end at 11:50?
We do end at 11:50.
Isn't that in 3 minutes?
In 3 minutes, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just said like 24 minutes.
No. 3 minutes. No, I said 4 at that point.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 24.
No. Oh gosh. So where did it go now? 1 second here. No, stop share. So come. No, not yet. Come on. Classwork, weekly assignment. Okay. 12:30. No, not this. Quickly. Okay, 1 second. Just showing you. This is week 13. Assignment. Week 13. Week 13. 60 points. There you go. All right, now I'm just going to go here. So share screen. All right. So here we go. I'm going to add something for all of you, but because I still haven't, you have to get the recording. So you'll see that there's a link here, um, which will tell you what to record. Which will, I'm sorry, not what to record, but which will show you the recording of today, and you can just cue to your part. And then you can just see, evaluate yourself. If you, I think, Henry, I think you'll be the only one. I think you'll be the only one who will probably have a half one, because I didn't realize that I completely forgot that this Zoom is not going to be able to record. So by the time I turned it on, I think you were starting your counter arguments. So you may have to do it a little bit from your memory, but at this time, you guys have done this self-evaluation. Let me just do it. Why am I even, you've done this. It's the same questions, but this time also there'll be a section where I would like to hear from you. How did you think your counter arguments, what kind of counter arguments did you get? Do you think you could have done it better? Do you think your confidence was there? Do you think you should have researched it better? What would you do better to next time handle the counter arguments that you were getting? That's the only difference that you will see in that section. So I haven't added the link because the recording is still going on. Once I'm done with this class, you'll see the recording. You'll go to week 13 assignments, and you'll see you can click that YouTube link, and then just work on those questions. So that's about 60 points. It's due next week, which is Friday. All right. So Friday next week. By that time, guys, I'm going for my second shot on Monday, by the way. So 26th. I'll be going for my second shot. So we are meeting on 1st May. So that's a Saturday. What are we going to do? So now from this point onwards, I'm already about time. So I'll just take about one more minute class. What are we going to do? Here we go. 1 second. 11:50 already. So this, you can see we are meeting on May 1st. And you are submitting your self-evaluation. That's the homework that you will be working on by 11:59, April 30th. That's your that's when you're submitting it. And then we get into week 14. Week 14, 15, and 16. That's it. 3 more weeks, and we are done with this class. So right after this class, this is a great point for our great platform, a great moment for us to get into argumentation and debate. Exactly what you already got a nice taste of it today. When you heard an argument and you came up with a counter argument, right? Now you will be, let's just say that on week 14 and weeks 15, these are 2 weeks that we will be getting. So we'll be on pretty much argumentation and debate, and the back and forth and the question answers that we heard today in class. We are going to do that on steroid. All right. So that's going to be only that. Okay. How do you argue? How do you come up with counter arguments? How do you refute yourself? So you're going to be attacked, and you have to figure out a way to defend yourself, to refute yourself, and to to present your position. So a lot of debating will happen. Okay. So these 2 classes, May 1st, which is week 14, and 15, we will be prepping for our final speech, which is argumentation and debate. All right. So that's what's going to happen. So only thing that you're going to be working on is your self-evaluation for this week. I might around midweek, I might give you a few more things that I want you to just watch. Okay. You don't have to submit anything, but I just want you to watch and kind of get a feel of it. I'll probably give you some debates that you can watch and see how debating is happening. All right. Because that's what we will be doing in the next 2 sessions. That's it. We have 2 more sessions, and then our final speech, which is argumentation debate, is on May 15th, and the class will end at that point. I am about 3 minutes above our time, so I will stop sharing this. Those of you who want to stay back and talk to me, you could. Otherwise, thank you very much. I will see you next week, May 1st.
All right, bye everyone. Have
See you
a
next
good luck
week.
tomorrow with your second dose.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Teacher, I think the second dose is gonna be like, I think it's gonna be like a little bit tougher, I think.
I'll be, I know. I'm
Little bit.
a little bit sore and fever, right? Yeah.
But Johnson had the whole thing in one dose.
Oh,
So
God.
it was harder for me. It was harder for me.
Yeah,
But for you, it's gonna be easier. It's gonna be better.
you were the only one in this whole class who got Johnson and Johnson. I think none of us
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. And after you got it, after that, the next day it was taken out.
Yeah, it was taken out. I was
You were
surprised.
lucky. Who's that
But
baby?
I think it's my brother.
Oh my God. Let's see him. Oh, so cute. How old is he?
6 months.
Oh my God. He's your brother.
Yeah, brother.
Oh, I thought you both of you are like you have a sister and you. I didn't know you have a younger little baby brother.
Yeah, one brother, one sister, one younger brother.
Oh, so he's the baby. Obviously, you can't have anybody younger than. So you're the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
Oh my God, he's so. How old did he say? How old is he?
6 months.
6 months. What's his name?
Joel.
Oh my, so cute. Okay. All right. Miguel, do you want to talk to me?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Okay, let's do something because everything is getting recorded. So I think our conversation will be private. So I will have to. And Henry, did you want to talk?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. So I will end the session here so that even YouTube stops recording. And then Miguel, give me a call right now on my cell.
Okay.
And Kendo, did you want to talk?
Yeah. So would I be presenting next week?
Let's talk on the phone, okay? So because everything's getting recorded and that's private information, I have with you. So I will end it. You have my telephone number, both of you, 412-760-8348. I repeat, I think both of you have my number. Okay. So I will end it, and I am going to I'm going to run an errand. So let me call both of you back. Okay, Miguel. I know I have Kendo's number here. Miguel, I actually have your number also, so you don't need to text it. Okay, so let me call you from the car in. I can say that 12:30, right? So
Yeah, whenever you're free is all right with me.
okay, so 12:30 is my son's appointment. I will give you a call between 12:30 to 12:45 this afternoon, both of you. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Miss Rashmi.
Yeah.
Since I'm heading off to work later on, I head off to work about like 1.
Okay.
So I'll if it's okay with you, I'll give you a call like at
Yeah.
6 in the afternoon.
Yeah. But please make sure that you do. Okay.
Yeah.
Call me. All right. Whenever you're done with work, just call me.